Norman, thanks so much for your time. I mean, it was a tough year that you had in this period under review. Perhaps you can take us through the biggest challenge that weighed on earnings.
Yes, thank you very much. I think maybe at the outset, the way to actually look at Zeder is also to start by looking at the sum of the parts valuation and then move into the earnings. And I say that because we have got investments that have got very strong net asset value underpinned. You know, there's farms and milling assets, etc. And there are times when the profit performances take some strain, but the underlying asset values don't move as much. So, for example, in this particular year, our sum of the parts value is down 8%, which is not as much as the earnings is down, that being down by 35.2%. And the reason there's a discrepancy is because the value of our assets and our investments don't move as much always as the earnings do. Now, when it comes to the earnings, I think the challenge that we had is probably well known to the market. I think South Africa operated under very difficult conditions this year. You know, we had a deteriorating political environment during the period under review. Downgrades affected the cost of capital, borrowing costs, etc. And then our portfolio had to deal with an incredible drought, first in the northern parts of South Africa with El Nino, but that ended, and then the Western Cape followed. So all in all, I think tough conditions for our portfolio. And yes, as you said, we are disappointed with the earnings result. But overall, if one looks at the context of the cycle, we're actually quite satisfied with what our company's achieved and what the management teams have achieved. From our point of view, we're certainly looking at a much better cycle that's lying ahead. I think the changes are quite encouraging. From a drought point of view, the northern parts of South Africa have now got a very positive outlook from a water point of view, and I hope that the Western Cape will see rain in this coming winter, and our portfolio is well positioned for a recovery in the cycle.
A recovery in the cycle thanks to the dissipating effects there from the drought. What else are you looking forward to in the period ahead?
I think for all of us, we're looking for some kind of stabilization in the economy and for some kind of growth to return. I think there are indications that both the South Africa and the regional economic areas are looking better. And from our point of view, we certainly, as a company, would try and make our contributions in that regard. I think the other thing that's good is I think the fact that we weren't downgraded further towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year bodes well. And I saw today, actually, the IMF have revised their forecast upwards. And from our point of view, our companies have maintained their market shares. The management teams have invested where they needed to do. Our balance sheets are quite conservative, so we've got safe companies. And we're looking forward to a resumption in economic activity and hopefully a bit of growth.
And Norman, you say you are constantly on the lookout for new investments. Is anything catching your eye currently?
Yes, I think we've got a very clear strategy with regards to new investments. Our first choice is to find investments that fit our existing portfolio so we can bulk them up and grow them. So we're continuously looking for opportunities in Cape Span space, in Zard space. You would notice we've made a few small investments in Zard over the last 2-3 years that's truly bulked up that company. We're excited about that, and there's a very nice pipeline. And similarly, we continuously exploring opportunities in our portfolio, whether it's for Pioneer or Cape Span or Zard or Carp Agri or Quantum or AgriVision. That's our main focus, and we're looking in that area. And we think that the market pricing is normalizing so that deal flow may accelerate again. On the other hand, we're looking for new platform investments, something that we don't currently have, that we feel we can make a substantial contribution to our portfolio. We've made 2 small investments that we alluded to in the results. One is in smart farming, smart vertical farming. It's a global theme, macro theme. With urbanization and sustainability being top of mind, there are new emerging ways of farming and producing food that's exciting and high growth, but off a small base. And we've just started dabbling in that space. And during this year, we call it the proof of concept phase, where we see if we can get this concept off the ground. We've also made a small investment in logistics technology. Our portfolio has an enormous logistical capability in all our companies. We move a lot of cargo over millions of kilometers. And we feel as a group that if we can add a technological or innovative solution there's a huge upside, not just for the company that we invest in, but also for the portfolio at large. And that excites us quite a bit. So we haven't managed to conclude a big transaction in the past year, but we've certainly tried, and going forward we would continue trying.